Hello guys, you are seeing Prime News Australia, where we show you the latest and important news of Australia in the fastest and reliable way. So come, let's start by not delaying 25 big updates of the Australia, especially for you. Before proceeding in the video, comment by commenting from which state you are watching, and also like video so that YouTube can reach this video to more people of Australia.
The Australian government has confirmed the repatriation of a group of women and children linked to former Islamic State fighters from the Al-Roj camp in Syria. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese clarified that while the return is focused on the welfare of the children, any adults who have committed crimes will face the full force of the law. Security agencies have been monitoring the group for several years to ensure safety. In a significant policy shift, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese announced the establishment of a 1 billion-litre national fuel stockpile. This government-owned reserve is designed to shield Australia from global energy shocks, particularly those triggered by ongoing Middle Eastern conflicts. The Reserve Bank of Australia has delivered its third interest rate hike of 2026, raising the official cash rate by 0.25 percentage points to 4.35%. RBA Governor Michelle Bullock noted that the decision was necessary to combat persistent inflationary pressures exacerbated by global fuel costs. Western Australia's Cook government has faced criticism after deciding to scrap interim emissions targets from its proposed climate legislation. The original climate change bill will be replaced by the Green Energy Powerhouse Bill, which focuses on practical decarbonisation rather than legislated milestones. Environmental advocates argue that abandoning these targets suggests the state is struggling to meet its previous environmental commitments amid high fossil fuel production. The Australian Federal Police Commissioner Chrissy Barrett issued a statement regarding the new funding for a counterterrorism online centre. This initiative aims to track and disrupt extremist content and recruitment efforts across various digital platforms. The centre is part of a broader national security strategy to address the rise in online radicalization and ensure that law enforcement remains ahead of evolving technological threats used by extremist groups. In Adelaide, police are investigating a suspicious car fire that occurred early Wednesday morning at Westlake Shore. Emergency services were called to Military Road at approximately 3:20 a.m, where they found a Ford utility engulfed in flames. Investigations later revealed the vehicle had been stolen from Semaphore Park earlier that evening. The Australian U17 men's football team, the CommBank Joeys, is set to face India in their opening match of the AFC U17 Asian Cup in Saudi Arabia today. Head coach Carl Vert recently updated the squad, bringing in Gabriel Lombardi from Parma Calcio to replace Akil Akon. The action movie Apex, starring Charlize Theron and set in Australia, has reached the top of the global Netflix charts. Produced by Chernin Entertainment, the film has garnered over 40 million views in its second week, showcasing the international demand for Australian-based productions. This success marks a milestone for independent studios working within the Australian film industry, highlighting the country's growing influence as a premier filming location for blockbusters. The Australian government announced that it has played no direct diplomatic role in the specific repatriation of the 4 women and 9 children from Syria, stating the process was managed through existing humanitarian channels. However, the Labor government emphasised that strict monitoring arrangements are in place. Qantas and Virgin Australia are reportedly considering further airfare increases as fuel costs continue to rise due to the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. Aviation analysts suggest that if international oil prices remain above $100 a barrel, domestic travel costs could jump by 15% by the end of the year. This has sparked concerns regarding the affordability of regional travel and the impact on the tourism industry. The upcoming federal budget, to be delivered next week, is expected to focus heavily on cost of living relief while maintaining a thin line between inflation control and economic support. Treasurer Jim Chalmers has hinted at targeted measures to assist low-income families struggling with rising energy bills. Australian researchers have reported a breakthrough in coral bleaching prevention technologies being tested on the Great Barrier Reef. The project involves cloud brightening to cool water temperatures during peak summer months. While the results from early May show promise, scientists warn that these localized efforts cannot replace the need for global carbon reduction. The High Court of Australia has commenced a landmark hearing regarding the privacy rights of citizens against facial recognition technology used in public spaces. The case was brought forward by civil liberties groups concerned about the lack of transparent regulation. The ruling, expected later this year, will set a precedent for how retail chains and government agencies can collect and store biometric data without explicit individual consent. Recent data shows that takeaway coffee sales across Australian capital cities have plunged as consumers tighten their belts. The rising cost of living, driven by high fuel and rent prices, has forced many to cut back on daily luxuries. Small business owners in the hospitality sector are calling for government assistance, fearing that a continued decline in discretionary spending will lead to widespread cafe closures and job losses. Australian classical guitarist Slava Grigorian is set to perform in Byron Bay this weekend to celebrate the release of his third collaborative album. The performance, held at the Byron Theatre, features an eclectic mix of rock and soul influences. This tour marks a return to live performances for the artist, who has seen a surge in popularity following the album's successful debut on digital streaming platforms earlier this month. The Australian Federal Police have issued a warning to the public about donations in disguise, where funds intended for humanitarian aid are being diverted to finance terrorism. Authorities have observed a rise in sophisticated online scams targeting Australians' generosity during global crises. Citizens are urged to only donate through registered and verified charities to ensure their contributions do not inadvertently support illegal activities or extremist organisations. South Australia is experiencing a significant increase in demand for public housing, with waiting lists reaching record highs this May. The state government has pledged to accelerate the construction of new modular homes to provide immediate relief. However, critics argue that the pace of development is failing to keep up with the soaring migration rates and the lack of affordable private rental options currently available in Adelaide. New South Wales police have charged 2 teenagers for allegedly possessing and distributing extremist material online. The arrests follow a joint operation between state and federal authorities targeting youth radicalization. Officials stated that the material was designed to incite violence and that the intervention likely prevented more serious incidents. The Australian stock market saw a volatile opening today as investors reacted to the RBA's interest rate hike. Banking stocks initially dipped but recovered slightly as analysts weighed the impact of higher margins against potential loan defaults. The energy sector remains the strongest performer on the ASX, driven by the uncertainty of global oil supplies and the government's new commitment to a national fuel stockpile. A new health report indicates that rural Australians are facing longer wait times for basic medical procedures compared to those in metropolitan areas. The Gap in Care study highlights a shortage of general practitioners and specialists in regional hubs like Townsville and Bendigo. The government has announced a new incentive program to encourage medical graduates to practice in the bush, though results are expected to take years. The CommBank Junior Matildas were held to a 1-1 draw by Lebanon in their second game of the AFC U17 Women's Asian Cup in China. Despite a strong first half and a goal from Theo Muithis Mikalad, the Australian side couldn't secure the win. The draw leaves the team needing a victory in their final group match to guarantee a spot in the semi-finals and qualify for the World Cup. The Australian space sector is celebrating a successful satellite launch from the Whalers Way Orbital Launch Complex in South Australia. The mission, a collaboration between local startups and international partners, deployed 3 miniature satellites intended for environmental monitoring and bushfire detection. This launch marks a significant step forward in Australia's bid to become a competitive player in the global commercial space industry and local technology manufacturing.